everyone, welcome to the Dyl Pickle Movie Network. I am Dylan Randazzo. Friends, we are in for a big one today because this one has been talked about as not only a potential frontrunner for Best International Feature, not even a top 3 People's Choice contender at TIFF, but it's being projected to possibly be a Best Picture contender. So here are my thoughts on the newest Netflix film, Emilia Pérez, which is coming out in November on Netflix, and I got to see it at New York Film Festival. If you've missed some of my New York Film Festival 62 coverage, go check out. I made reviews on Honora and Nickel Boys and Rumors and Pablo Larraín's Maria. This is my 5th review here, talking about the New York Film Festival. And I was really, really excited going into Emilia Pérez. It was a musical, but it's also a crime story. It had some great actors that I'm very fond of at the forefront, like Zoe Saldaña and Selena Gomez, who, two people that I grew up watching in my childhood. Zoe Saldaña I watched in Star Trek and Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy. Selena Gomez I watched in Wizards of Waverly Place. And now seeing them kind of take these very, kind of big, Oscar-y, dramatic performances was really exciting for me going in. And then Karla Sofia Gascón, who I've heard great things about. I haven't seen her in anything either, but potentially being the first transgender actress to be nominated for Best Actress, it's just all really, really cool. And I was really, really excited going in. And having seen it, I don't know. I think this is the film I'm having the most puzzled reactions to, because part of me is that was bold, that was ambitious. There's so much going on that I just really appreciate how much they were trying to chew off here, and how many big swings they took. Then part of me is that was a mess, So I don't want to be, demeaning toward the film, because there are a lot of things I do like, but it is one of those films where I don't think it's going to necessarily have everyone being like, wow, applause, give it Best Picture out the gate. I think it's going to be a film that, for the people who love it, they're going to love it and love it and love it, but admit that it's a lot. And I think the people that don't like it, they're going to be like, there's no way it's going to get Best Picture. But then there's people like me who's like, you know what? I appreciate what it was going for. I don't know if it all worked for me, but I think with more time and more thinking about it, it might grow on me. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this film, is that it does just juggle so much that it's hard to keep up with at times, but you are left thinking about it nonetheless. And I think the best films, even if they're not the best made or the most emotional or the most entertaining, they're the ones that make you think the most. They're the ones that make you want to have the conversations, want to talk to your neighbor and be like, let's talk about what we just saw, rather than that's all right. I hate that when I leave a theater and I'm like, it was all right. This is not one of those films. This is a film that you are going to love, or you're going to hate, or even if you're in the middle like me, you're going to have something to say about it.
¿Eres tú? Bingo.
So what is Emilia Pérez? Who is Emilia Pérez? Emilia Pérez is the story of a woman. She is a lawyer who is basically hired to help get this Mexican drug cartel crime lord a sex change operation. They would like to transition to become a woman, that is how we meet Emilia Pérez, who is this new female identifying character, and then that is kind of the basic kind of inciting incident. Then you kind of see how Emilia then begins to change her life, and how she wants to kind of get her kids back into her life and kind of reconnect with her wife, who's played by Selena Gomez, and also how this lawyer character played by Zoe Saldaña has to kind of reintegrate herself into the business of her friend now, Emilia Pérez, and then all the hijinks that ensues because of that. It's hard to go into all the different plot developments because there are so much. There are romances that bloom with certain characters. There's jealousy and rivalries that bloom. The crime stuff kind of comes back full circle. There's also some emotional stuff with Emilia reconnecting with her kids. There's also this kind of weird tension with Emilia trying to reconnect with her ex-wife, or her wife that thought that her husband had died, but really now is Emilia Pérez. And then there's also just the overall discussion on transgender themes, which is also another big kind of elephant in the room, because the director is a straight white French male. So it's kind of one of those very, very big jam-packed productions. Oh, and it's also a musical. I forgot to mention that. But I do think, all those different elements, there's going to be something for everyone, which I think is important. But because there is so much for everyone, I feel like sometimes it kind of undercuts other elements. Like, for example, Emilia Perez starts a love story with someone, but then immediately, because we have to jump to the next plot point, it feels like that relationship is just quickly kind of breezed over. It's like, oh, I thought we were going to dive into that. I guess not. Okay, I guess she's just part of the crew. And same with like Zoe Saldaña's character. It's like, oh, she has this big purpose to play in the first act, and then it's kind of like she's just kind of hanging around for the second act. Oh, and then she becomes relevant again at the end. Like, I feel like it's one of those films that, because it's biting off so much, that it can't necessarily chew all at once, it feels like there's a million different plot threads just kind of left hanging that don't feel like they're properly tied up. And then at the end, when they finally do decide to end the thing, it's all so rushed and so quick, where I'm like, I want the time to really kind of fulfill each of these different beats, because they are all very interesting beats. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on, especially being a transgender story. I mean, these are some high profile stars: Zoe Saldaña, Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez is the most followed woman on Instagram. I mean, you should have seen the New York Film Fest outside the theater when Selena Gomez walked out of her limo into the red carpet. Like, the place, you would have thought someone had just like exploded in front of them. There were screams upon screams upon screams, and it was really exciting as a film fan to see like a lot of people excited about the New York Film Festival in that way, just because of one star.
Selena Gomez.
But I think this is going to bring a lot of viewers to Netflix who are just Selena Gomez fans or just Zoe Saldaña fans who don't necessarily know what it is. And because there's so many different things going on, I think a lot of people are going to feel alienated by it. But there's also people who want kind of all the craziness and all the hijinks and are going to go into it knowing exactly what to prepare themselves for. And I was kind of a mix of both. I didn't expect it to be as all over the place as it was. I thought it was still going to be very contained. I think the musical elements, it's very interesting, because I do think the musical songs, some of the musical moments are good. Some of them are very entertaining. There are some good dance numbers. Zoe Saldaña in particular has a really memorable one in the middle of this like restaurant. There are moments that I really, really like, but it also feels like the musical numbers sometimes just come out of complete out of nowhere. A lot of the times musicals, it like feels like an extension of the characters wanting to say things that they can't express with words, so they have to sing them. Here it just feels like, all right, we're going to start narrating now in rhythm, and now we're going to start singing. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, it just feels a little random at times, some of the musical elements, to where I'm wondering if they had just taken the musical elements out of it, would it have played better as just like a crime story, kind of tender, emotional, heartbreaking drama that's often kind of funny. I kind of likened it to like Annette, because it has like kind of this weird musical element to it, even though it's telling like kind of a darker, twisted story. But then I also compared it to Sicario, because it is still about a Mexican drug cartel crime story. But then I also kind of likened it to Miss Doubtfire, because you also have those elements of, this woman trying to reconnect with her kids after she's made this transition. But I also feel like that like kind of Miss Doubtfire stuff is where a lot of people are going to be most critical of this film, because of the way it just discusses transgender, identity.
Medio ella, medio papá, medio tía.
And I think that's just kind of like the modern culture, like all the different conversations and how we address transgender, issues and topics, to where I'm not the best expert, obviously, on the subject matter, but I just know from hearing just different transgender people at the screening that I talked to, also different transgender critics. I think there's just some of the discussion and the actual terminology and vocabulary used to discuss trans issues in this film, I think are not always done the best service to. It's just so much stuff going on. It's almost like you're getting a pitch from this area, a pitch from this area, and a pitch down the middle. You have 3 bats. It's almost like you need to be an octopus to have enough hands to hit all the different balls with all the different bats. Sorry, I'm in the midst of baseball season. I'm growing out my beard for Yankee season, my rally beard. So I am in the very baseball heady mood, but that feels like the metaphor that that is the best kind of, personification of what this film is. It just feels like you're getting balls thrown at you from so many different areas, and you only have so many resources to try to get home runs out of them. I hope that analogy made sense.
To listen is to accept.
It is a film, like I said, that's going to get people talking. It's going to get people thinking. There are elements that really stuck with me. I think there's a really emotional moment where Emilia is singing to her child, because her child doesn't understand what's going on, and her child like smells her and says, "You smell like my father." And like, there's like an emotional beat there. But I also understand how sometimes, trying to say, well, you are a man, you're just in a woman's body, is not necessarily the best way to kind of illustrate what being transgender means necessarily. And I feel like sometimes the ball is fumbled in that respect, but there are emotional moments like that with just her connecting to her kids. And then there are emotional moments when she decides to find her own path in life. And there's also emotional moments with Selena Gomez's character because she's admittedly going through a lot. I mean, she lost her husband. She thinks her husband's dead. In reality, that partner transitioned to become a woman who is with her in her own house, and she doesn't realize it's her. Like, I just think there's a lot of interesting things going on, but it is a lot going on. And I do think this is going to be a film that is going to be talked about. But as for its Oscar chances, I think I went into this being like, all right, we're going to see something that might be a Best Picture winner. I don't think it's going to be a Best Picture winner. I think it could get nominated, especially because Netflix has a lot of backing and pushing into this film. I think they're really going to try to support it. And like I said, because of Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldaña, I think it's going to get a lot of eyes. I think a lot of people are going to watch it and then be totally turned off by it, but there are also going to be people who watch it and they're like, this is so cool and interesting. And I do think just by nature of getting the eyes on it and the fact that it won the Cannes prize for Best Actress and all three of them got Best Actress together, like I really do think this could be an Oscar player, especially because I think they're also going to push the actresses in the categories they're up for. I mean, Karla Sofia Gascón is terrific in this. She really is. I mean, she is doing a lot of vulnerable work, you know, when she has to play the pre-transition Emilia Pérez, which is probably difficult for any actress really to have to like go back to that other skin and like try to portray these more masculine features. It is very difficult, I can imagine. And Karla Sofia Gascón does a great job, but especially when she does transition, you know, she has just this power and this illuminant quality to her that really draws you into every second, even though I don't think she's the best singer. And again, that's probably also why I don't think this works as well as a musical, because Selena Gomez is obviously a fantastic singer. Zoe Saldaña is a surprisingly great singer. Carla Sofia Gascon, not really. So whenever she sings, I'm always kind of like, you know, I don't necessarily know if she needs to be singing right now. But then you have Zoe Saldaña, who is just so electric and brings a great kind of narrator quality to it. She's kind of the audience's eyes through it all because she is the bystander to a lot of the conflict. But that being said, I do think her character, especially in the second act, kind of gets a little lost in the shuffle to where I don't necessarily know if she's as confident a Best Supporting Actress push as I originally thought she might be. Then you have Selena Gomez, who, while she is in it less than the other two, has probably the most Oscar-y acting to do. She's the one having the big cry moment. She's the one screaming. She's the one who gets the big song that I think it's called Mi Camino, that is going to be the big push for Oscars as well. So I think there's a chance all three of them get nominated at this point. Do any of them win? That's the question. I think Karla Sofia Gascon has a shot because also of the history behind it. She would be the first transgender actress to get nominated, out transgender actress, of course. Obviously, Elliot Page got nominated. He got nominated for Juno, but that was pre-transition. But I do think it's going to be really cool to award that. But again, as we saw last year with Lily Gladstone, history doesn't always matter when it comes to a win. But I do think she'll get nominated.
Karla Sofia Gascon.
And then Zoe Saldaña, I think, yeah, she's going to get nominated. Is she going to win, though? And I think the time is going to tell whether that's true or not. She feels like a lead, but then as the second act rolled around, I was like, no, she's definitely supporting. And then as it ended, I was like, yeah, maybe she is the lead of this thing. But it doesn't matter because they're campaigning her and supporting, and I think she has a good shot. And Selena Gomez, I think she also has a good shot just because of the scene she has being very powerful. But is it my favorite of the year? No. Is it my favorite of the fest? No. But I do think it's one that's going to have a lot of people talking, a lot of people thinking. So if you think all this craziness that I'm spilling out to you, you know, this crime, transgender musical story is appealing to you, then go check it out, because I do think it's going to be one that is at least going to have people talking and supposedly going to be an Oscar player. So we'll have to see. I really do think there's a world, though, where Emilia Pérez could miss out on some big nominations, and I would not necessarily be surprised, but I could also see it breaking out and being a big, you know, cultural hit. Who's to say? Only time will tell. But thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you're excited for Emilia Pérez, let me know in the comments down below why you're excited for that. And if you've seen it, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And if you are a transgender person and want to speak a lot on the themes, I would really encourage you to comment down below, or at least reply to this video, because I do think, you know, that perspective is very important to hear out. Of course, I can't offer all of my 2 cents into it because I don't have that personal experience, but I do think it's been one of the more prominent talking points amongst a lot of people. So I really would love to hear what, you know, your perspective might be on the film, if you have a similar background, or if you are in a family with someone who is transgender, or have very good friends that are transgender and can speak on just the transgender issues, if they're well tackled in this film, or maybe some of it's misguided. I think that conversation is very important to have as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned. I got a lot more reviews coming here for New York Film Festival, including some big ones that I'm very excited to tell you about, like Seed of the Sacred Fig and Pavements and Queer and The Brutalist. A lot of great films that I'm excited to tell you about. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, subscribe, help this channel grow. It's such a privilege and pleasure to get to do this every single year. But in order to do so, I encourage you to subscribe to help us grow this channel even more, to continue doing so in a more timely manner and in a more high quality manner, better graphics, better visuals, more time spent on editing, and your subscriptions certainly help with that. So if you want to, please subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about Emilia Pérez as the Oscar season goes on. So check out more videos, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell, do all you need to do in order to get all those videos when they come. Otherwise, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon with more New York Film Fest 62 coverage. Thanks.